and welcome to Mastering Dungeons and our main segment with Mike Balles. Mike, ¿qué tal? How are you doing?
Hello. Hi, everyone. I am the other Shawn Merwin.
Thank you for coming in and being the other Shawn Merwin. You and I often touch base about Spanish language efforts, particularly around the game of D&D, but also around conventions. And yes. You and I talked about having you on to discuss the challenges, the opportunities that we have in this space, in our hobby, to improve how we involve the global South, how we can create better convention experiences, and so much more. And this is very relevant to me because I'm back from being at PAX, helping run the Dungeons and Dragons events. And it was great. You know, one of our DMs came in and I could hear her accent. So I spoke to her in Spanish and we had a blast. Yeah. And I kept hoping that we could line up like a Spanish speaking table, which would have been really great. But we couldn't. There were obvious Latinos in the group that were playing, but we couldn't get an all Spanish language table going.
So are you going to PAX Unplugged?
I'm not. I wish I was.
No, because Teos, if you were to go, you would find that Claudia and myself are going to be running D&D in Spanish like we have for the last 5 years.
Yeah.
That is a great thing to bump into when you don't know about it, or to come back once you know it, right? And I don't need to tell you, because you were literally one of the first to play on our D&D in Spanish event on PAX Unplugged, and we are very grateful because that's where we met. That's where we were. For the first time, we saw each other in person, and that was a great start to a good friendship.
Yeah, it was really special for me, for my daughter who was there playing, which was really cool. And just to see, I loved what you were doing. I'm like, oh, wow, there's going to be D&D in Spanish. That's such a cool thing. I haven't seen this at one of the big conventions before. And that was what, PAX Unplugged. Do you remember the year?
That was 2018. That was our first. That's literally the first time that we ran anything. We did some kind of event in a convention.
Yeah.
So that is the seed that turned into what we're doing right now.
Amazing. Well, it was super. It was great. And you've been doing more since then, much more. But maybe let's take a step back. Mike, introduce yourself to our audience. Give us a brief overview of why role-playing games have been important to you, and how it is that you really started deciding to get involved in this way.
I'm going to need you at your most game master level, because if I start talking, I can go everywhere. Like we have a podcast that we do in Spanish. It's called Rol en Rollo.
Yeah.
And yesterday we invited a really young creator that's very upcoming. You will hear about him in the next year, I think at the most. He's doing a great job. And it was an interview. It was scheduled for an hour. We ended up with 2 hours and a half, and we talked about everything possible. And so keep me in line.
Yeah.
If anybody doesn't know me out there, which might be a lot of people, I'm Mike Balles. My actual name is Miguel Ángel Ballesteros, but that sounds like a telenovela for most people. I was talking to Teos on how I ended up being Mike Balles on everywhere. And it's just one of those emails you create when you're 15. You shorten your last name, and it becomes the way that people know you in the internet. And then going forward, I never changed it. I've had it for 20 years. 30 years at this point.
Wow.
And I don't plan on changing it, to my wife's grief, because I use that for everything. It's a security issue, she tells me, but here we are.
Well, hopefully no one will see that. You know, we only have 2 viewers, so it's okay. Yeah. Except in Iceland, we're really big there.
Don't do that, Iceland. I am in the #1 podcast for everything role-playing related. So
man,
I gotta keep everything under taps. So I kind of had my personal. I think there's 2 things. Like your life has working in the space
Mm-hmm.
or being a member of the community, the industry, whatever you end up doing, all of it is valid, and we do everything we can on our little corner. But then there's your personal experience, right? I bumped into role-playing games when I was really, really young. This was 1989.
Nice.
I remember very fondly that I bought the first. It was one of those D&D starter boxes that has the little miniatures, the little maps. You run the Tomb of Damara is the adventure that it had in it. And before I actually played the game, I had bought the box, the Forgotten Realms gray box.
Nice.
I didn't know what it was. I was literally in Las Vegas. My family used to go a lot to vacation over there. We went to Excalibur. They had a store with wizards and everything, and they had a box with a wizard and people with swords. And I was like, "What is that?" I love stories. Is the heart of my life. So I've always read. I saw that, and I was like, I need to have that. I bought it. I started reading, and its lore is just. Ed Greenwood at his best, just writing about worlds of fantasy and inspiring all this potential stories. I didn't know a game came with it underneath. It was till I got the starter set that I kind of got into it. I was into comics, so also I have the huge privilege of growing up in the border of Mexico, the north of it, just across from Yuma and El Centro, California. That's 2 hours from San Diego.
Yeah.
So exposed to your friendly gaming and comic store. I saw people playing there. I saw them playing like Champions and playing Traveler and these super old school games that I started getting into. Nobody back in my hometown knew what those were.
Right.
So I kind of became like the center for, hey, I got this game, you want to play it? It's like writing a comic book or a cartoon or a movie, but all together, and you do it on your own. And that's what got me going. It was a social gel. I found all sorts of people that would never be on the same room normally till we started connecting through this thing that they didn't know about. And we shared stories up to today. I got friends that we met when we were 11. And to this day, every time we see each other, we reminisce about the adventures that we went into. Some of them are directors of industry or doctors or whatever. And then it's like, oh, you remember that one time that I had the sword and I used it and it broke, but also it was cursed and it changed me into another race and I was a Minotaur and that was like my best character ever, So games have been a huge part of growing up. It became like an element to build community around me. Role-playing games actually bridge a huge gap between my two brothers as we started playing, and that's one of the only things that we did together because they were like so different amongst themselves. It's just it was all boys. We had a difference of one was 15, I was 12, and my younger brother was 7. So there was not a lot of overlap on doing things. But then we found games, and that just suddenly cousins, friends of both my brothers, older and younger, were gathering. My house became like the place where you would go. So all that to say, that's how I became enamored with it. And then later on, I started the other way around that people might start on it. I obviously, when I was in college, I continued to play. I played all my life. I never had like a break where I was not playing. But then this magical thing called the internet turned into a vector for promoting games and playing and the hobby. And I was invited to a game with Mario Ortegon, who is known as El Warius. He had a Twitch and YouTube channel, and we went to college in the same city, but we were not, like, we didn't know each other. Like, we were not close or anything. We knew about each other because we kind of went around the same circles. and he invited me. We started doing one of the biggest channels that became like a spearhead in actual plays in Mexico and Latin America. Mario went on to write for Wizards of the Coast. He wrote for World of Darkness, for Hunter. He did a lot of things.
Yeah.
And in that process, we were there. We were able to connect with a lot of people. We got invited to D&D Live on 2019.
I remember that. That was awesome.
That was fantastic. Huge event. I miss Greg Tito, and I mean, like the organization that happened around his work. Always when things went right, blame Tito, still to this day. So things started eloping into more. Mario would continue to do the channel. We would do, like, we were playing actual the campaigns as they came out, and we would run the actual, like the newest, like Avernus. We played that. Dragon Heist we didn't. We did Cruise of Strahd. We did Ghost of Saltmarsh, and we did Avernus. Just with the flair and the particular, sense of Latin people, Mexican in particular.
And to be clear, like, you're playing in Spanish on the official, what was then the official kind of hub for streaming within D&D, which they eventually ended. But I mean, that was amazing, right?
Yeah, that was huge. It became a bridge, because Mario at that point was working in Ixalva, which is inspiring in Mesoamerican, Mexican, and South American culture. And we were actually playing in that world. And at Saturday slot, that's where we were. That's what we got invited to play when we went to D&D Live. And that was huge. We started connecting with a lot of people here in the States. Because we're based in the States. My day job is I work for a corporate business here in my day job, and I came over 15 years ago, and I've been here doing the rounds since then. But here in the United States, when we started going to conventions and everything, a lot of people started coming over and saying, hey, like, my dad is Puerto Rican, but I don't know Spanish. I don't feel connected to all that because I've lived in New York or New Jersey or Wisconsin or whatever. But really, this kind of brings me in because I see it and I know these things. And I see my dad and my mom in part of what you're playing. And that is, that kind of connection. And it started getting, everything rolling in my head. There's a lot of people that really need that push, or really need to see themselves a little bit out there. And a lot of people that think that they're not the people that are going to create games or content or stories or cover all this stuff in the industry, because it's not them, Right. We do have a huge, like, cultural thing where there's a lot of accessibility problems for people that talk another language, are not physically in the country, all this stuff. So that's where everything kind of started becoming something different. We wanted to make some change. We wanted to a lot of doors open for us, because I'm going to say luck. Really, it's just being there, doing the thing we do, doing the right thing. You always got to bet who you work with, what you're doing, because people are behind you, and they're going to be exposed to whomever you bring into the table, right? So at some point, the streaming and everything kind of calmed down, because Mario was he was writing full time. He was doing his thing. So we wanted to continue our effort and do our own thing on our side. And Claudia and myself initiated a bunch of different projects. Like, we went to conventions. PAX was one of the first that supported us. It's great. We've gone to all the PAXs. Unfortunately, PAX South, the only time we went was the time that it got shut down forever. Like, we went, this was 2020, January, just before the pandemic started. We went, we had a great time. It was awesome. And then we went into all the shenanigans that happened afterwards. But that created a new possibility because everyone was home. We were all taking care of each other. There was a whole lot of things happening. So suddenly everyone was really interested on doing, being a homebody and kind of experiment with a lot of things that they had never done, but that they felt like they were curious about. So a boom in role-playing games, actual plays, Discords exploded everywhere.
Right.
A lot of people just got exposed to this hobby and this community. And we wanted to we know it's difficult. Historically, it's been a lot of things. Spaces for fan presenting people, spaces for people from minorities that are underrepresented, that may hit a lot of blocks when trying to get into general spaces. And we were like, we're here. We know all this stuff. We care for everyone who has not been able to jump into it. Let's go, And suddenly 2022, we got a huge opportunity. Gen Con, through the events manager, Derek Gooder, who I am eternally thankful for. You're very familiar with him.
Yeah, we're friends. I'm very lucky to be his friend. I saw him this last weekend. He's a wonderful person.
Fantastic person.
One of the people who achieves inside of an organization great things, right? There are others like him who are real champions, and it's really, the work he does is fantastic.
So it came directly from Derek, seeing what we were doing in other conventions, because we were already running like D&D in Spanish in most of the PAXs. We were doing panels, we were doing workshops, we were connecting with other people, we were showing up on different actual plays, shows that we were doing to gather funds for a lot of causes, especially causes for minorities and underprivileged people. And they wanted that to become a little bit more present in Gen Con, which is that's the prom for all nerddom in the continent. So we were like, absolutely. They facilitated everything. They told us, how much space do you? And at that point, it was just Claudia and myself. And they were like, how many people is your team? And we were like we need to look into it to see how many people we can get. But definitely we can work something up. So since then, 2022, we do a space and that's when the name came through. We created the Latine Lounge. Because one of the things that we talked about before it happened, we went to a lot of people that were in the industry and the community, and they were like, there's a lot of like ninja Latinos out there that people don't know. Like they're deep in the roots of everything. And you would be surprised sometimes, because I mean, sometimes it's the name that gives it away, but sometimes you don't know. And you have a lot of them out there. Not everyone does cultural, and that's understandable. Representation is very nuanced, and it has a lot of area. Not everything has to be cultural, not baggage, but all the weight of that. But also we can go and we can do fantasy adventures. We can write something that's completely like cyberpunk or whatever. And both of them are valid. None of them is wrong. And a lot of people have moved over to the side of doing all kinds of work because they don't want to be boxed in and just be like, oh, get the guy that does, Colombian stuff. It's
everything has to be in Spanish.
So we talked about it and we were like, we don't have something that's representative of that. We do have a lot of efforts going out there, but it's a very specific experience, the one that Latin American people have, either from outside or from inside of the country. You're never really Latin American and you're never really American. So it's all sorts of things that we were like, yeah, let's do that. We purposely do Latine with an E because also we want to fly that flag that we want to incorporate everyone. This is a space that's open and safe for all people. We are very transparent about what we do. We do not associate with people that have some weird ideas or that want to keep people outside of the hobby or whatever. Because that goes against everything that we stand for, which is everyone should have the chance to enjoy this hobby, to be able to participate in whatever manner they want. And that's what we do. So since 2022, we maintain room 124 in the Indianapolis Convention Center. It's a privileged place. You just go in from Marriott and it's just right there. So we've had a lot of people go in and find it just because like it's colorful. I don't know what it is. And they go in and it's like, hey, what's going on in here? Or the first year it was a lot of, hey, I'm not Latino. Can I get this is not for us to separate ourselves. There is a value for spaces that are specifically for people on identity, but this is us sharing our joy with everyone. This is open for everyone that wants to play or run games. And it did start snowballing. We got, I think it was about 12 people that ran the first year. This year, 2025, we have 35 people running more than 110 events, both in English and in Spanish, a diversity of games. We try to get everything we can. We had a fantastic game this year. Locally, I'm in Savannah, and I have a friend that's our host and our dungeon master. He has a tremendous effort with anthropology for games. He does something called the Vintage series, and we started playing OD&D with the books. And every week we add additional stuff. As we're going through the timeline of what would be released in the next couple of months, and it's been a blast. He has a game called The Curse of Randy Macho Man Strat, and it is amazing. So this year he incorporated it into the Latine Lounge and ran that, which, if I mean, most will understand that's not at all like specifically Latin American, but that's what we're all about. Like we want to bring everything, we want to share in the joy, and it was great. That's who we are right now.
That's awesome.
This year also, we for the first time we got a booth over in the exhibitor hall. And our intent and our pitch was, we know, like there were people that told us you're never going to get it. There's people that's been like in queue for years, and they're trying to get in there. And our pitch was, well, what we want to do is we want to offer any creator in South America and Mexico and wherever to get in contact with us, send us their game if they're not able to be here, because it's expensive. It's really expensive. And we will sell their books, and we will promote their books, and we will run their games so that people get to know it. We did really good. It was a great first year. It was full of bumps, but we made it work. And this was the best Gen Con we've ever had. It was amazing. We had people from Spain come over. We got people from South America. We got a bunch of people from Mexico that have been just growing the group that we have. Some of them also are running games over in San Diego Comic-Con. It's for three years in a row. I didn't know this, but Ballman Games is not the only group that runs games officially. I'm told there's 3 of them. It's Balman Games, West Coast Adventures, I believe is the name that for South California. And then there's another one that I really don't want to mess it up. I don't remember what it's called. But the West Coast group has done historically like D&D for San Diego Comic-Con. And one of the persons, one of the collaborators, our good friend Amaury, he lives in California. So he was like, hey, I run games over in Gen Con with this group, and we're Latinos. We speak Spanish and English. We can run things. And it's California. You're going to have a lot of people that speak Spanish. And they were like, let's do it. And now, like every year they get invited, they go with their professional badge and everything, and they run games. They were part of the what you call them, the epics. So they were running around dressed as cultists of something. I'm not gonna spoil anything for anybody, but it was amazing.
Awesome.
So that's where we are. That's what we do.
Awesome.
It's
so. Yeah, I want to ask you a few questions, kind of, and go back and add some pieces. So first, most important is anybody who's listening out there and says, okay, well, that sounded all really cool. Let me back up and make sure I understand it. So if somebody's going to Gen Con, how do they, you said room 124 of the Marriott is where the Latine lounge is?
No. This is in the convention center.
In the convention center, across from the Marriott.
ICC 124 is the name of the room.
Awesome. So that's awesome. So somebody can find that. And then they could, if they're going to San Diego Comic-Con, they can look into the group that's the West Coast games that are running events, and they can find things there. That's awesome. You mentioned this idea of how one thing leads to another. And that has been something really surprising to me. Like, I think of during the pandemic, we ran some games in Spanish, right? Through Baldman Games on the virtual weekends, which sadly we haven't been able to make that work. Long time.
We're waiting. We're waiting.
We're waiting any day now. I do talk to people from time to time trying to get that to happen again. But I mean, I think of those games, and it was you and Claudia. It was Tomas Jimenez Rioja, right?
Yep.
Elvin Tower was there, right? Like, it was amazing. Yep. Like when you think of folks who, and even a couple of other people too, I can think of that were.
We played a couple of times with two people from Brazil that spoke English and Portuguese, and then we got into it with kind of figuring out, like, you know, like the similarities of the language, which was amazing. It was.
And it's amazing to me, like these folks, some people were already involved organizing like AL in their countries. But what was amazing to me is just that, like, people who had not been super active in the space, a number of them, then went off, and I don't know if that helped or what, but it's those kinds of connections that you start to get to know each other. And unless you do something to create these kinds of places where you can gather, and especially places that are front and center, right? Like what the virtual weekends did that was really nice was, if you were just following D&D, oh, look, play a game in Spanish. And suddenly you're now connecting to other people around the globe who speak Spanish, and you start, you know, getting excited about creating, about being a DM, a player, whatever it is, streaming. And those kinds of opportunities are really important. I know Gamehole Con has a POC event that takes place. There have been a number of people who are Spanish speaking from companies, from individual creators who get together there, and that has led to some fun things being done in Spanish language as well.
I'm hankering to go to Gamehole Con, and you're responsible, because I've heard you talk so much about it, and I'm like, what is going on with the name? That was my first impression. Like, why is it called Gamehole Con? Yeah. But then I started seeing like what people were attending, and I was like, this is so really really strong community people that are doing a lot of things, and then they're gathering right there. I would love to go and see how that goes. I would love to see what they're doing. Meet more people, because there's definitely, I mean, there's a circuit of conventions, but some conventions have something, and some others, there's conventions that you go to play, just literally to play. And some are, there's going to be a lot of show for publishers are going to show the new games and all this. And there's some that is, you're going to meet and network with people. It's more of a peer-to-peer business industry convention. And you want to try all of them, because you want to understand what they're about. And especially with what we're doing, we want to touch base with every single place, because I want to be able to turn around and say, hey, Jimmy, you love this. You need to go here, because here is where the magic happens for what you are interested. Manufacturing, distribution, creator, gaming. and that's I'm really that's in the next month, I think, right?
Yeah, yes, it's October. So I've now you made me think of the fact that I need to work on my events to prepare for them.
Yeah.
But it's really cool because one of the things that Gamehole does that's really great is to say, we want, and this is my words, not theirs. They would describe it probably in a different way, but we want to honor the history of the hobby while moving it forward and recognizing where it's going.
Right.
And
That
if you
is
look at the
beautiful.
guest list, you see that, right? It is looking at both back then and how awesome those people were who created things in the world of the 80s or 70s or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And in today's world, which is a very different world, to move us forward in good directions. And I love that about Gamehole Con. It's one of the neatest things. It's why we keep asking Alex to come on the show and talk about his convention and how they went from, being a bunch of guys that called their place where they played the Gamehole and kept that name, which they maybe regret because it's the name that everybody goes, what?
Yeah.
So it was like, it was like you'd say like my basement, right? Like it was their Gamehole.
It stands out though.
It does stand out.
You remember
yes.
it. I want to say that. It's like, what? Why?
But I've had a lot of friends who their partner has said, that's a terrible name. But it's a great convention. And I love the people who run it. And that's true of the PAXs, and it's true of the Gen Cons. There is always that opportunity for great involvement. It's great that in this industry there are a lot of really good people. I just finished a PAX. We said to each other so many times, man, that person's so good. They're so nice. They're so kind, so giving. Yeah. They're really good people in this industry. And when they recognize that potential to do something really good, that's, someone like Derek, right? Who can see how to line some things up to make a difference. That it's huge, right?
And to your point right there, I think there's an element of talent and like being part of the industry, right? Running games and or writing books, designing portions of it. But then there's the other side, which is very community based. Our effort has always been on that side, even though we've jumped over and now we've written, design, we've done art, we've done a bunch of things. But our start and our end has always been, let's make a better community. Let's create something that's inviting for everyone. And not everyone has it. Like when you go to conventions, you meet people that have their heart and their spirit on pulling more people in, on connecting to others at a human level. Yeah. And that's what games help gel, so that we find the things that make us different, but also together in that environment.
Yeah. And there's so many awesome groups like La Taberna de Rol, right? Like that are running right in Argentina. I mean, just amazing, right? And when you realize, when you hear their stories, because I've never been to Argentina, and so when I'm thinking about Argentina and what's going on through their eyes, and hearing that people went to see Critical Role in a movie theater there, it's like, oh wow, even in Argentina. Or maybe especially in Argentina, right? What do I know? Like that's a place where Critical Role has a foothold, and Dungeons and Dragons, of course, has a foothold, and that then you realize how much opportunity there is there.
So we were talking a lot about that when they just a month and a half ago, when they declared that they were doing like a world tour, and it ended up being like 3 countries, and I was like, come on, guys, don't tease people like that. And we got into it in the community in Mexico and Latin America, especially Colombia and Argentina, where we have people that are over there, and they were like, oh, why wouldn't they come over here? It's like, it's a financial thing, like going to another country, setting up this, getting like the language barrier to organize and get people in there. And then you don't know what kind of response you're going to have, because there's, unfortunately, it's the snake biting its tail. Sometimes you don't know that you're going to make it, so you never do it. So you're never going to know that you're going to make it, because you don't know that there's a lot of people in there. Like this year on Gen Con, we worked with Adrian Lugo a Ilustrar. He's worked with Dimension 20, Wizards of the Coast, He's done fantastic things all over the place. He's an artist. And I was like, why have you never gone to Gen Con? Like, let's get you in there. We work with the convention because they give grants to specifically to people doing something in the space. He got the grant. We got him into the lounge. We shared, like, we lived in the same place while we were there. And it's amazing because he was there, and then people figured out who he was, and just the Critical Role connection. He's done a lot of critical work. And on the booth, we had prints from his work. That just became an avalanche of people going. Even Liam went over to the booth from the Critical Role gang because he's all into art. And he's like, oh my goodness, is the guy here? And he was there, but he was not in the booth. Yeah. So it became a whole thing of running around trying to get them to connect. But it's like that. Like we love games. Role-playing joy does not have a language. Right. We all cheer for a 20 when it rolls out. It doesn't matter what language people are talking about. It's a lingua franca para jugar rol, no?
And you shared with me some statistics that were pretty awesome of how many people in the US are of Hispanic heritage, right? Do you want to share that with folks listening?
Absolutely. And this, I know that James Introcaso has been here a bit. Okay. When I met James, I met both James Introcaso and James Hayek. How do you pronounce it? Hayek? Yeah, Hayek. Okay. I know them as Joey because that's what they were going by at the moment. Yeah. And I was like, but when I met them for the first time, it was James and James. So I was like, one is the evil James and one is the good James, but I'm not going to say which one it was. But this was 2018 PAX Unplugged. Actually, the first time that we were there, Mario had never gone to a convention and we got to meet with them. And it was like just luminaries in there. It was Hannah Rose. It was Joey. It was James Introcaso. It was Lauren Urban. Just people that right now have gone all over the place and done the magic that we knew they would do just by meeting them there and talking to them. Yep. And James, we were talking to James and he was like, I don't understand why role-playing games are not in Spanish. Like, and we're talking about like, that is, I think the second or the third most spoken language in the world. Yeah. At that point, that was the conversation we were having. And right now, when we were planning on this, I was looking at things to bring some stats and, make a database, not just perspectives and subjective what we think. Right. But 63.7 million people in the US are of Hispanic heritage. It doesn't mean that they speak Spanish necessarily. Right. But there is a connection to the content, to the cultural background, and potentially to the language, right? And then you have, in the world, there's 464.5 million people in countries that formally speak Spanish as their first language. That is a whole lot. Yeah. That is that's two things. That's a huge market for people on the business and the industry side. And that's a huge community that you can cater to and build and take your things, because we will take them and we will run with them if we love each other and we do the things together. So there's that portion of it. There's a huge opportunity for all of that. I don't throw my credentials. I really don't care about it. But like my bachelor is in marketing and I have a minor in psychology, especially consumer behavior. And customer satisfaction is kind of like the specialty that I ended up with. So forever in my life, I've been telling people that the experience that people have when they interact with you as somebody who's giving them a product or a service, regardless of what you do, if you sell tacos in a corner or if you have a, multi-level, huge corporate business that does games or whatever, each time that you connect with a person and they have a good experience, that's going to give you more than any any amount of money that you can use in promotion and ads and whatever else that we use to make sales. Like create a community, make them feel part of it, welcome and help them, and they will bring you up.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of that. There's a lot of that potential out there, but we're barely scratching on top of it right
Absolutely.
now. We're barely.
And we've shared how in the past or during the pandemic, there was a time when Italy was like the #1 country using Roll20. And that really surprised everybody, surprised people at Roll20. And I recently heard something that I don't know that I can super repeat, but it was basically the details or the general concept was that from another country that had been such a huge presence that it was just, a major involvement. And it's partly, well, let's say it's not simple, right? The thing is that you can't just say, I'm going to print the player's handbook in Spanish and I'm going to sell it over there. Right. Or that I'm going to print Cypher or Draw Steel or Daggerheart or anything. And I'm going to put it, send it to the gaming store in Cali, Colombia. Because a $60 price tag for a book is
socioeconomical.
Exactly.
Barriers.
The difference in what people make around the world is completely different. And that's true in India. It's true in lots of places.
Format is a huge thing. Do bunko books just like manga does. Sell them for $10 a pop. They have all the content.
Yeah.
The quality is different, but they will buy it because they want the game. They're not looking for all that unless they get super into it. And then you have the regular top quality version of it. There's a lot, again, marketing brain working all day, every day when I see all this stuff happening. And you were talking about it right now. Like translations, let's go Wizards of the Coast, D&D. They do translations. They send them and put licenses out back in the day when they were aching for money. And they were like, let's just put them out. Somebody do it and just pay us something. And then they see, oh, there are sales. There is a market. Let's bring it back in and let's why are we letting people make more money than when they're paying us? Right. That's the Teos, lead of Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro had. But then they bring it in and they don't understand the markets. They don't understand how things flow. I cannot understand how Portuguese was dropped for the past 2 years when Brazil is one of the biggest Latin American markets right now. It's overflowing like Tormenta 20 and all their internal creators and industry. They had to. It's a bottle market where nobody was creating things for them because they speak not just Portuguese, but Brazilian Portuguese. So they were like, okay, nobody's going to look in here. We'll do it. And they did. And they do really good. And to not be able to cater to that market, which is strongly interested on it, it just baffles my mind. Same thing with Spanish. We just talked about the numbers, 650 million people around the world. Just make it in Spanish and get it in distribution lines, right? It went to Spain. Production, manufacturing, translation, it all was being done over there. There is that Spain does have a very strong industry, but again, it's a closed garden where they create for themselves, and then distribution is hell. Like getting player handbooks and dungeon mastery guides that were being made over there and still are being driven primarily over there, and then trying to get them over here ended up with you have to pay $150 to get a book that costs $50, whatever it costs. I don't know what a book costs. So there's a lot of nuance to it. There's a lot of they just went back on the Portuguese thing because they did the right thing. Now they went to Galapagos, which is somebody who's already doing all the stuff, knows the channels, has the stores, knows how to cater and sell the stuff and do events, promote it. And that's how they're going to do it. That's how you should do it.
Yeah. It's really interesting to see, we covered a few weeks ago that Japan seems to somehow have this different way of operating, right?
Localization in Japan is everything I would love for all of the localization, not just for Spanish. You saw the most recent starter set had a specific characters created by mangakas that are super famous over there. It's kind of like doing a K-pop Demon Hunters specifically on D&D for people that are already like super fans of that specific thing. And then you pull them into something and they get to know who you are. Some of them will stay, some of them may not, but you're never going to get that range limiting yourself to what you know if you don't go to the specifics or who you're talking to. You don't know who you're talking to. You can't tell them what they need to hear to try your things.
And there are markets, I mean, India, right? China, where D&D has never tried to figure out what that market would accept or how the format, the type of printing, any of that. Like it's just it's a mystery box, right? A black box with no answers. But I also understand, and especially from talking to people at Wizards, that localization is very tough. I know that people, we saw Jess Lanzillo cared about it. I know Greg Bilson cares about it. I know that Wizards thinks about it. I think they would say as often as they can. We of course want it more, but it's really because what you have to have is enough lead time between when your product's finished and when it goes out to be localized, right? Translated and shaped to the specific region. And that's a very hard thing to do, right? Because you want to have the art in the same place, but also the words in the same place when all languages are different. I mean, all you have to do is open an instruction manual for the latest electronic thing you bought, and they're all different sizes, right? They use different amounts of page, but with a game book, you don't want that. You want the same words on the same pages and the same structured approach. Oof, that's difficult, right? And so that requires time. You can do it. It's difficult. You can do it, but you need the time. And that means that your product has to be ready early enough before its street date that then your partners can localize it. And that's something that, I mean, it's pretty clear that D&D is not quite there. We see that where there are impacts to the schedule and then everything gets delayed, right? Right now, the starter set is delayed in Europe. So it's clearly tough. It's not for lack of wanting, but it's a thing that has to go throughout the organization for it to work.
Absolutely.
And then people have to also get clever about, like you were saying, should it be on different paper? Should it be on cheaper paper? It can't just be the same product in some cases. And it's a big puzzle. But if they could solve it, right? If we had, even in just a few Spanish speaking countries, Latin American countries, that you had localization and the building of a community there, it would be incredible. It would be incredible for sales. It would be incredible for creating community, for brand awareness, right? Then your video game can be, that much bigger because people will love the brand, right?
We're looking at you, Exodus.
Yeah, let's get Exodus in Spanish. I
was gonna say, when you're talking about like format, again, going back to like changing things for a specific market, one of the best days throughout the year for me is free RPG day. Because when they put out those little free booklets that they do little modules, full color, good cover, good paper. They give them away because they use them as a promotional tool, basically. The FLG is kind of, absolutely beautiful.
There's a Ghostfire Gaming one that I got this weekend.
Ghostfire Gaming had two, I believe. And they're great. And that's where I was going. That is a fully developed product for markets that are underdeveloped at this moment. If I take that over to a convention in Mexico, it will sell out on $15 a piece.
Yeah.
It is understanding that not all the markets work the same. Not everyone's looking for a 356-page book with hardcover and art from like every 2 pages you have 3 splash pieces and spot art and everything. We just want a game, and we understand where we are and the socioeconomical barriers of making something like that. But if you give them something that's solid on the design and the game and the lore, people will flock to it. You see a lot of games.
How about if you did black and white art?
Yeah, absolutely.
Done by Spanish-speaking creators or creators from the global south, right? I mean, how amazing that would be. Let's create a player's handbook that's a cheaper paper, soft cover. Maybe it's not even all the rules, but you have this attractive design to it, and that'd be amazing, right?
Take the SRD that's on common. It's open for everyone. Make new art with people from the place where you're going into. Put it together, because that's going to pull already people that are following the artist and they like that. And they'll go in, and then they'll have the base to start the game. Sell it out as a quick start. Sell it as a just initiation book for the first three levels of 4 classes, just like they're doing for Heroes of the Borderlands, which is 4 classes for the first 3 levels. That's all you need. And that is a product that you can sell for $20.
Yep.
And it will probably cost you like $3, you know?
Yeah. Love it.
Wizards of the Coast. I am available.
Call Mike. He's ready to set you up.
So they just came out with the character sheet in Spanish. They kind of just put it out there in the middle of nowhere. Didn't tell. I also, so for a moment there, like 2 or 3 years ago, they initiate a project where they had like a community manager, just like they do in the United States. And they have one for Latin America. They were based out of Mexico. They were not really in contact with a lot of people. They kind of did like a campaign where they got a bunch of like media people, influencers that were not really in the space of creation. They were mostly like people that had numbers. But then you're talking to people who have no interest specifically on role-playing games. That kind of flared for a second. Then they did some videos in Spanish, put them on their main YouTube channel in English, which baffled everyone, because suddenly, like, did I click on ESP on my YouTube or something? And people that speak Spanish and do not speak English normally would not go to the YouTube channel, because why would they? So there's a lot of disconnect in there. And they kind of did a little bit that with the, I mean, I'm grateful that it now exists, that it's out there, that it's free, because that just accessibility for a lot of people. Now you have a official formal character sheet, and a lot of people are doing it. We're talking a lot of Wizards because they're like the spearhead, but there's you guys were just talking about Limithron doing Pirate Board. And I was like, holy God, like they're going all in with like going like I was looking at some of those languages and I'm like, why Lithuanian? Like, how did they decide on that? Great. To the fact that like the Lithuanian community is going to have the game, and potentially they do have, like, they know something, obviously. And
I think it's because they're willing. I mean, they can operate in a different way than Wizards, right? They can say, hey, I can give you a much better deal because I'm not getting sales today. So you give me any amount of sales and that's a win. And you're creating fans globally. And it's amazing to see, you know, a company that's essentially a creator and a few people who assist, very smart, great people, don't get me wrong, but, you know, it's a small operation, but they can think big and work with these partners. And, you know, maybe we'll see Pirate Borg as a big international success, which would be incredible, right? But they can act at a different level. And so that's where, like you mentioned, this character sheet, right? So just so everybody's clear, you can go to dndbeyond.com. And I've got the link in the show notes /resources/1779-D-D-character-sheets. And if you go to that location, and I'm sure
directly right now,
right, you will find that there are character sheets in Spanish, in French, in German, and Italian. And there's another way to get the, you know, you can get to this through the menu, but it's easy to miss, and you may not have heard of it because Wizards is big and announcing everything properly is difficult. And as you said, there isn't a great way for somebody, like if I'm a random player, you know, in Argentina, Venezuela, wherever, what do where do I look to, right? And it's probably some local YouTube person who's doing things in my country, in my language. It's probably not the English speaking YouTube account or the English website. And so I'm not going to hear about this, which is too bad, because this involved work, and we're glad that Wizards did this work, but that connecting is difficult, right?
And that's part of the response, because they put it out. And if they go check their stats on D&D Beyond and see that, 100 people have downloaded, why did we put time on it? Right. And it's like, that's not the issue, dude. There's a lot of people that would love to have it. It's just don't put it in a place that's not accessible and that will not get to them. But it's
maybe this character sheet may or may not be good for other countries, right? Like maybe people in French want in France want a much simpler character sheet, right? I don't know, or more complicated, but we aren't all the same culture too. So you have to kind of think through how are people playing and what are they doing? And
this is true. There is a little bit more localization than just language. Definitely. There's places like, just like you were talking about, like if India, suddenly somebody wants to go in there, potentially, I don't know. I'm not saying this is the case, but maybe the culture of game is not there yet. Right. So maybe the game has to be way more simplified to affect what it is about before you go into, let's get crunchy. Let's do all this stuff. Let's get Cosmere or Pathfinder 2E level, like all the stuff that you can build into. So there's definitely that element of having to understand what do people need in the place where you're going to really be able to break that barrier and build a bridge for them to come to your game and for your game to get to them.
I think of two stories along those lines that I'll try to tell very, very quickly. So one is, I believe it was in Iran that people were getting together in like board game type cafes, because a board game cafe was seen as a place where you could actually like sit at a table and talk to one another, and it wasn't seen as problematic, which a lot of places are.
Gotcha.
So people could just really it's hard to imagine if you're not from a country like that, but you could really just relax and hang out with people and get to know people. Yeah. And so this culture was a culture of gaming growing around that ability of being able to form community, right? In a different way within a society that can be pretty restrictive. And in China, there was an example of a game that similarly involved the ability to use an app to get together and play a sort of LARP game, but it was less about the game and more about the idea of being anonymous, to just be able to gather with people that you don't know and who don't know you, and to kind of have a gaming experience with them. And the app made a lot of money, not the game, but it was because of the idea of the game as an engine, as a means to get together, right? Which is really neat. Right. And so those are the kind of things that are like, how do you come up with that? Like it's hard. You have to spend time there, right? You have to think about it.
So going back to Japan, we did a series of podcasts in Rolo Rollo. We had 3, and they were like 2 or 3 hours each, because we went over the history of games in Japan.
Oh, wow. Awesome.
Which they call table talk games, not tabletop, because it's all about conversation. They're different spiritually, like literally when they met BX Traveler and Call of Cthulhu, and then they started doing their own thing. But they have a different culture over there. There's not a lot of space. People are not as social. They won't invite you to their home. So you go over to a cafe and you play. And a lot of the time, you're going to do it with people you don't know. So it becomes a social interaction, and games are more story driven, front loaded. You're not going to play a long campaign. Everything is a one shot. Right. So games are designed like that. And games right now cater to all that. And if you go and you see a modern game right now, you'd be like, what is this? Because it just delinked and it like evolution took another path on how to do games based on the place where they were and how the community actually played those games, which goes to say, yes, absolutely. There's a lot of elements of how the hobby exists depending on where they are and what people do with them, right?
Yeah. Ah, man. Fantastic. So, any other, we're getting to the end of our time. Anything else you wanted to talk about this, or resources you want to share with people, things you want to point to people, things you wish the industry were doing?
So one first, really super quick. I'll send you over like the socials for where we are. Claudia and myself are the event organizers for the Latine Lounge. The Latine Lounge does have their social media, Blue Sky, Twitter, and Instagram, basically. We created them. If anybody is really good at managing social media, because we're not, please get in contact. We need somebody who, like, we take pictures, we do a lot of things, but we then never load it anywhere. So they exist. They do have a following of the people that we get in contact, and they follow us. And then they're like, "Hey, are you putting the pictures from this year?" And I think the only pictures are from 2022 when we started. Right now, I'm working on getting onto it. Right. But yeah, that is a good thing that we're gonna put on the notes. I'm gonna send those to you so that they're on the video.
Yeah, thank you.
You were talking about like understanding and respecting and dignifying the origin of the games, and then taking them to today and making them modern to what our community needs and our sensibilities are. There's a new book that just came out called Gathering of Gamers by Matt Shoemaker. Matt was super kind and pulled us in to have a conversation about how Gen Con in the last couple of years has gone out and tried to do more diversified elements that add to the whole thing. The book is out right now. It's called Gathering of Gamers. You can find it on Play Story Press. I'm also gonna send you the link.
Awesome.
It's great because he's a librarian. He went. It talks about specifically the Gathering of Gamers. It's about the history of D&D and other role-playing games in Gen Con. So he goes all the way to how Gen Con started to where we are and all the fluxes and ups and downs, the conflicts between events, and the drama that pulls people into like Slaying the Dragon and Empire of Imagination. If you like those books, you'll love this book. It's also, you can download it for free because this is an academic work that wants to be shared. And it has an option for you to buy it physically and get it, which supports obviously doing stuff like that. What else? Making Enemies by Keith Aman. Keith Aman is a fantastic person. Has he ever been in Mastering Dungeons? I feel like
he has. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like he needs to come back because he did a fantastic. He speaks Spanish.
Yeah,
which was a surprise to me. He speaks multiple languages.
He does. He's amazing.
The last time we were in Big Bad Con, he was we were just hanging out, and I don't know how the conversation went into that. I remember. Tomas, who's from Argentina, went to a school that was like a Jesuit German school or something like that. Okay. It turned out Keith knew German, and then he kind of started singing a song from school. That's cool. And then Tomas knew the song, and I was like, this is what is happening. Like, we're connecting a lot of things. But Keith is an amazing person. He does fantastic work. And not only accessibility for languages, but he also took another direction. And the newest book he did is called Making Enemies, which is about how to create monsters based on the system and the philosophy of design behind multiple gaming systems. It's not about one game, because previously he worked a lot with D&D, but now you can go in and it's Cypher is obviously D&D, Pathfinder. I don't remember, Shadow Dark is one of them also.
Yeah, I think so.
But it's great. I just want to give him a shout out because he's doing great work. You know what? Speaking of Shadow Dark, Kelsey Dion also speaks Spanish. I didn't know that.
I did not know that. Wow.
And I am super curious to see if we can meet up somewhere, because I want to do an interview with her about literally also the same thing. Bring in old school games into an environment that's more modern, that it's less restrictive with the rules. And Kelsey has done a fantastic job at doing that. It's going through the roof. It's still going. It will continue to go. I'm super happy to see that. I'd love to see it. And yeah, we're not just about one thing. We love to see the community grow. The hobby space is a good safe space that really has given us. I met my wife Claudia through role-playing games. Amazing. We met for the first time physically in D&D Live 2019. We go to conventions, and everything we do together. We have written and designed books. She was nominated for an Annie for Pasión de las Pasiones.
Yeah.
Which, like you were saying, if you want to see some amazing stuff that's being done, Axel Stories, Tales from the Gods is a journaling game about being a god and having a community and how that changes things in your universe. Pasión de las Pasiones is a telenovela game about drama, intrigue, all sorts of shenanigans. It's one of the best games for conventions. Yeah. You suddenly see people melt from being unknown to each other. And by the end of the game, everyone's like, they've had an experience and they've loosened up and they've gone all like, and it's amazing.
Anybody who doesn't know, the game Pasión de las Pasiones is built on Spanish-speaking telenovelas. And so it's the idea of this super drama happening, and somebody and everybody's playing these kind of typical of telenovela roles,
archetypes.
You're playing, the mother and the housekeeper, and then of course you've got these agendas and these things you're trying to accomplish. And it just, of course, the whole point is for everybody to backstab each other, make out with each other, cause trouble, murder each other. Just all of it is just great. It's fantastic.
Yes. Coboa kind of went the same direction as Keith Amman. It is a fantastic project. Adrian Mejia was basically the heart and soul of it, and not only the game that's based on South America specifically, because this is not core Mexican. This is Incan, Peruvian, and it's great to see it from people that are from there, that are talking about their own experiences. But he also, all the artists are South American people that have never had the chance to break in, or that they were developing and now they're doing other stuff. All the writers, the designers, that like everyone on the table was people that had not had the access and were able to do it because they did this project. So my heart goes to that, because we need more of that. We talked one time because not everyone can do that. And I applaud the fact that they went all in and did that. Coboa is still in development right now, because it also, back when the OGL was happening, they decided to kind of diversify and create it as agnostic, and then build stats and mechanics for multiple games, which is now you're doing 7 books at the same time, but that
effort is one that's led to so many people working together and working with other groups, and it's amazing.
Absolutely. It grew, it became something else. It pulled more people in, because now you need somebody you need to be really good at Cypher System, which is about to get a new edition, by the way. And this one is going to be done in Pathfinder 2nd edition, which back in the day when they were starting, I think it wasn't even a thing, and now it is, right? It is. Yeah. So it is good to see stuff like that happening. We are here for it. We're here to try and get more people in. We're trying to present games created by talents. Now, while RPG is in my heart, because Claudia and myself were in the playtest from the beginning, and then we ended up being writers and designers for the second book, which is yet to come out. But it's just representation. It's chef's kiss on seeing Miguel Angel Espinosa, who's the writer and the designer, and the layout artist, multi-Annie award-winning, working with Magpie, and put something that comes from his soul, and that it is just the best thing that I've seen. It's one of the most evolved PBTAs that I've seen, because he's been on the weeds with Magpie, who've done, masks. They've done all sorts. I'm not going to go into all the games. Magpie is also amazing. Mark Truman, also Latino. One of the bridges that has helped us for the last 6-7 years to get into all things. One of the first people that gave us an opportunity to write and design professionally in some of the books that have not come out but will. And all of that is just, I like to call it a constellation of efforts. Yeah. Like you connect to individual projects that have their own light and they have things orbiting around it, but we're all inside of each other. We know where we're going and we're gravitating things so that we all move as a whole. And that's what we're all about.
Yeah.
The last thing I want to say, because I told you I was going to be super long-winded. My wife,
I love it. I'm so glad he didn't lie to me.
Yeah. I was very upfront about who I am. I have no regrets. The last thing I do want to put out there is, in all transparency, the Latine Lounge has been a community grassroots effort. It's been all just us trying to make it work, doing all the things. I have the privilege of being in the United States. I have a job in here. I am legal. I still get that question, which is like, why would you think I'm like in my job? Like I work as a corporate analyst for a multi-million-dollar business, right. And still people are like, hey, so what's going on with O? And I'm like, okay, there's a lot of, lack of knowledge on how things work. But doing that on my day job, I have the possibility to financially back a lot of things that we do through the Latine Lounge. This year on Gen Con, we, Claudia and myself as a household, put out about $12,000 for the booth. We rented a vehicle that we used as a little bus for people that were coming in from other places. We paid for the lodging for a lot of people. We literally bought everything that was used for the booth because we were exactly at the timeline where Axel Stories, who is the publisher, a Mexican publisher, that is supporting our effort with the booth. They do all the sales. They're constituted over in Texas. So they're the business side of the booth. And they were going to bring everything because they do conventions over in Mexico. Okay. But they were like, I cannot take anything because right now going through customs, it's going to be a mess. That can lead to us being stopped, to our things getting. So we had to, in the last 2 weeks before Gen Con, find out retail, which I found out here in Savannah, there's a huge manufacturer of retail things, which just kind of lined up. We had to buy all that, rent a huge vehicle, put everything in there and drive from here to Indianapolis. And then we had to drive to Chicago because for some reason, Access Stories have their distribution right there. And we had to drive over there, get their books and drive them back. Wow. So it was a whole thing, but again, it just made us learn all sorts of things. So what we're doing for next year, we can still we'll work with whatever. We've done this for 4 years, but we're putting it out there that we want to see more people collaborate, coordinate, and help and support. If you like seeing things like this, if you want to see more stuff where we support, this year also was the first year that we gave a grant to first-time creators from Mexico. Wow. We helped them develop a little epistolary game called Big Bad Evil Rand. I'll send that to you, awesome. So that you can check it out. It's about being a little villain that is down on their luck. They hate their boss, their job. And they have another person that works with them. And basically the two players send letters to each other with prompts on the game talking about what happened or what you're doing. It is amazing. It is fun. Not only did they make it, we took it, we sold it over there, but they came out of Gen Con with a contract to get distributed by Indie Press Revolution. So that's what we're trying to do. Yeah. That's the bridges that we talk about when we're talking about building bridges so that people can get to it. We're not going to be middle people. We want to connect them directly with who's doing the things because that's the way that we all kind of strengthen what we're
Sure.
doing. Also, Mexico has the first convention where we're doing a space called Rol en tu Idioma. The convention is called Mega XP. It's run by Devir Games, which is the biggest publisher in all Latin America. It is great. We've been there for, I believe, 3 years now, supporting. We have a specific role-playing game and creator space where 2025 had, I believe, 15 projects that were taking their own games, developed, created, published, and being sold right there. And this next year, they're going to pull it in. It's going to be earlier. It's going to be April of 2026. We're trying also to go over there and do some fun stuff. We're trying also to talk to publishers throughout the next couple of months to see how we can represent their stuff over there and get more people to connect with them directly. We want retailers, we want creators, everything that we can. So to do that, right now we started a GoFundMe. We're gonna not. It's not just. We're not just gonna be asking for money. We're gonna be putting things up. We're gonna do not auctions, but things like for this week, whomever does the biggest donation throughout the next 7. Let's start with that. In the next 7 days, after this podcast goes live, whomever does the highest donation, I will send them directly to their house a Daggerheart special edition box.
Ooh.
So that's we're trying to give back stuff into the community. We want people to play. Daggerheart is an amazing game.
Yeah.
In 3 or 4 weeks, we're gonna do an event for Raíces Texas, and we're gonna be playing with Latino people playing Draw Steel.
Awesome.
I know that you might have written something in there, so I might connect with you because I would love to do like building a character in Spanish.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
And go through the motion, and that character that we create is the one I'm going to use in that game.
Love it.
I love to see everything from the sphere of games go into our community, and I like our community going into all the spaces that we have. So,
Mike, this is fantastic. Thank you so much. Really good.
Thank you.
We will have links in our show notes, which all Patreon folks can have. But I will make sure that all the links will be available in the YouTube video so that you don't have to be a member of a Patreon to get those links. But that's fantastic. Yeah, send those links my way. And I look forward to seeing, I mean, I love the idea. Daggerheart, Draw Steel in Spanish, more D&D, other games. I love it. Fantastic. So, Mike, if people want to just follow you, what's the best way to do that? How do they find you?
I'm in all social media as the Mike Balles. It is not because I am narcissistic. It's just the name was taken somewhere, and I started with the, and I'm the Mike Balles, and then I started using that because branding, I guess.
Yeah.
So you can find me in Blue Sky, where I'm really trying to get more into. In general, I've kind of separated a little bit from social media in the last year, just because everything is exploding in the world. But Blue Sky is the one that I'm most fond right now. I see that the healthiest community right now is kind of eloping right there. I'm still on Twitter because it still has some audience that just refuses to move over, and they continue to be in the pigsty that Twitter is. You can also find me on Instagram as the Mike Balles, where I upload pictures from all the places that we go, the games that we play, miniatures, movies, shows, everything. Go see Alien Earth, fantastic show. K-pop Demon Hunters, fantastic inspiration for your role-playing games. Superman that just came out. I am super waiting for Frankenstein from Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah.
It looks fucking amazing. It's beautiful. Claudia Sanchez, my wife, is also the co-conspirator on everything I do. You can also find her in Blue Sky. She does not do Twitter at all. She is stronger than me. She was like, no. And you can find her as Cy Morgan in Blue Sky. And then you can find her on Instagram as Morgan Citarion, which is kind of her internet name from her youth, and we continue to have it in there.
Fantastic.
Also, Latine Lounge, just on its own. You can find her on Twitter, on Blue Sky, Instagram. Just Latine with an E at the end, because we want to have everyone be part of it, and lounge, just like the word.
Cool. Thanks so much, Mike. Appreciate it. And we have now talked about how to make games more accessible, how to improve our industry. What are we going to do now?
Now we're going to go and we're going to create a module in the style of free RPG games, where we create all of the people that have been on Mastering Dungeons to play a very special session of Pasión de las Pasiones.
Oh my God. Well, I'm going to go make out with James and Tricasso. Thanks so much.